Is it 8 o'clock already?
It is 8
Close.
o'clock. Hello, Dave, and hello, everybody.
Hi,
We're
Lisa.
on.
How you doing?
I'm good, Dave. We haven't, I was just thinking a little while ago, we haven't had a good, chin wag for a couple, 3 months.
Yeah, it's been back in the sometime late spring. Maybe we did
Yeah,
some
yeah.
event online. I forget what. Although I always had people saying, "I saw you and Lisa," and this is like 3 weeks ago. So it lives on forever. People are still watching their videos.
Right. Yeah. So it looks to them like we're just together, but
Right.
we're kind of not. So glad to be here. And I am, because my online course is open for registration, enrollment, that means that we just get tons of questions. And I have been going online to address the main, the ones that we just keep hearing over and over. And there's one that we hear a lot, and Dave hears it a lot when his class is open. And I thought, what better time for us to just kind of talk about the subject of, are there too many flower farmers?
Right. People
And
ask that. Yes.
people ask that an awful lot, and particularly people that are just coming into the industry that haven't really got their boots on yet, that haven't found their spot, and maybe they're struggling, or so I totally understand why it appears to be that way.
Mhm.
And so I guess we should probably introduce ourselves, Dave. We assume everybody knows who we
Right.
are, but maybe they don't. You go
Yeah.
first.
I'm Dave Dowling. I currently work for Ball Color Link, which is part of Ball Seed, as a sales rep to cut flower growers all across North America. Before that, I originally started with I had a cut flower farm in Maryland for 20 years. I was the president of the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers for a total of 7 years, a regional director for 3 years, chaired a conference in Lancaster back in 25 or 4, I forget what year it was. And then when I closed my farm about 9 years ago, I went to work for Edney Flower Bulbs to be a sales rep for them. After about 5 years, they sold to Fred Glockner Company, which is their brokerage company and seed company. And then about 2 years ago, almost, they sold to Ball Seed. So that's how I ended up working at Ball Seed. I work remote for them out of my house in Delaware. I moved here after I started working for Ball, and also do the online class with the Gardener's Workshop.
So, Dave makes that all sound so smooth, but he is. So, let me tell you the other side of Dave. So,
Okay.
what we call him in the industry, all of his peers that have, run with him for decades, is Dave is the walking encyclopedia. Dave's depth and width of knowledge is pretty remarkable. And we're just really honored to have him be one of our instructors. But I'm also honored to have him as a friend. I went back to his farm, was the very first farm that I ever visited as an ASCFG member
Mm-hmm.
from, I think it was a Mid-Atlantic region
It was
meeting.
actually a meeting like in 2002 or three, somewhere around there. 2002,
It's
I
a
think.
long time ago.
Yeah,
And
20 years.
anyway, yeah, and I was on fire after I went to that. I thought I really wanted to do it before then. I was doing it, but anyway. And so, friends, welcome. My name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm the head bottle washer here at the Gardener's Workshop, which started out as a small urban flower farm back in 1998. Grew for 22 years, and then in the last few years, we've just dove more into education and resourcing and helping other people. So the gardenersworkshop.com is where you can learn about our work. That is home base to tons of resources, our online library. There is our online garden shop. We sell the same tools, seeds, and supplies that I use and you hear me mention and teach about, as well as my books are available there. Our blog is there. Our podcast is home based there. Dave and I have done several great podcasts together on Snapdragons, Lysianthus. There's a ton of them. You have to go over there and look. Um, anyway, so we're here tonight because my online course, Flower Farming School Online, the basics, annual crops, marketing, and more, which was really our our first ship to sail on our big online courses. We only open our big courses for enrollment once a year for 5 days because the course is like 6 weeks long, super interactive with your instructor, has a lot of support. And so we only offer it once a year. And so we want to be sure that everybody gets the full story and understands and knows about it. So if you're hearing this, if you're hearing my voice for the ninth time this in the last 4 days, that's how many times I've been live. I'm sorry. People tell me their children recognize my voice. That's bad, right?
We have your
Um,
own fan club.
so one of the questions that we hear a lot, and I got 3 questions posted today that said, but aren't there already too many flower farmers? And then somebody posted that they're in an area where there are many other flower farmers. And I thought, who better to talk about this than Dave, who, back when his farm was in Maryland, he was a flower vendor at the DuPont market, which is, I believe, that was that one of the largest in the country.
Not necessarily one of the largest in the country, it's one of the best ones. I mean, it had really
Yes.
good customer following. You didn't have to sell stuff cheap to undercut other people to sell stuff. It was just a very busy, if you took it there, it would sell. And very appreciative customers that came out no matter what the weather was.
And so, how many flower vendors do you think were there?
There were actually 2 that were true nothing but flowers, although I had
Okay.
plants also, but the 2 flower vendors. But then there were 2 other farmers that brought flowers. And then a lot of the other veggie farmers would bring a few things, but there are 2 other
Right.
farmers that did bring flowers as well as the other stuff. So altogether, 4 people you could go and buy cut flowers from every week. And pretty much we all sold out every week or sold pretty close to everything we brought.
So that's just speaking volumes for a great market that draws the right customer, right?
Yeah.
But you were also embedded in an area where there were lots of other flower farmers.
Yes.
And so I thought Dave is the one for us to talk about this. So, Dave, are there too many flower farmers?
No, there's not. And even if you think there's too many where you live or in your county or your state, it just means you might need to sell a different way. So it's like if you were in the DC area, you're not going to get into the DuPont Circle Farmers Market. They've already got 2 or 3 flower farmers there. They don't need another one. But that doesn't mean you can't do special events. You can't do bouquet subscriptions. I know a grower south of Boston has a 200 bouquet subscription every week. That's more than you would sell at a farmer's market.
Yeah.
It's a crazy amount that she does every week. So it's farmers market is not the only way to sell. So if you think, oh, there's already 2 vendors at the farmers market, I can't sell here, that might mean you need to drive an hour to a different market, to a bigger city, or sell a different way. The CSA, sell to florists, sell to designers, sell to grocery stores. There's all different kinds of ways you can sell.
I think that people, and it's just natural, right? That they see the most obvious way to sell flowers, and farmers
Right.
markets are very public, very seen,
And easy to
and
get into, easy
yeah,
to start easy to start doing at farmers markets.
yes. And, so you go to the farmer's market and apply, and they said, oh gosh, we don't need you. We already have 6 people waiting ahead of you. And it is very, very discouraging. But I think what people need to really know is, first off, Dave is always bringing up all these different ways to sell things. I bring up that I don't think there's as many flower farmers as people think there are out there. I think there's a lot of people trying to be flower farmers, but really have not committed and really doing it. They're growing a lot of flowers, but they
Make it
aren't
a
selling
business.
a lot of
Right.
flowers.
Yes.
And I particularly have heard from someone specifically, that they're part of a flower farming group that has, a couple of tens of thousands of people in it. And it's like, I think that, they're not all in business selling flowers, I don't believe.
Right.
So don't let that, certainly there are some, but
Yeah.
don't let that, there's people in there just like this person talking to me that hasn't even stuck their foot in their toe into that pool yet. And so I want to just first say that we need more professional cut flower growers.
People do it right, grow quality flowers, and sell them at the right price. Yes.
And sell them at the right price. I don't know if you've been over on the ASCFG Facebook page
I saw that.
lately.
Yeah.
Did you see it over there?
From Joe Schmidt. Yes. A picture of
Yes.
$5 bouquets that should have been $20 or $25 each. Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But of course, since they brought them in a box out of water, that may be all they were really worth was $5.
Right. Yes.
But what we really want to say to people, so I have some other little things here to add on to it, but that there are so many additional markets and ways to sell flowers. than you can ever imagine. I mean, I'm really inspired by your person in Boston that's selling 200 subscriptions a week. Do you have
Yes.
any idea how much less work that is than
Um,
going to farmers markets? You're
but
prepaid,
you're
first off.
prepaid. It's a lot of work to make the bouquets, so you're not spending 8 or 10 hours that day at a market. People pick up at
Yep.
the farm. Yeah,
That is, I mean, and they're prepaid. You're
prepaid, right?
dropping them
Yeah,
off
yeah,
no matter if it rains or whatever. Your customers are already still there.
yeah.
But there are so many models similar to that. And so today I was doing a little bit of research around. I was trying to see, it's like, all right, they've been saying forever that the cut flower industry is like a $7 billion a year industry,
Yeah.
just in the United States. So I was trying to define that a little bit. And that is truly, they now say it's less than seven, it's like 6 point something. And they say that's because of the pandemic, has brought it down a little bit.
Well, that
But
increased sales.
huh?
That increased cut flower sales.
I mean, it
The
surely
pandemic
seems
did,
to.
yeah.
But what I wanted to say was, in my snooping around, I really believe that so many people that are like, I mean, I'm not so certain that everybody's getting counted. Is
Oh,
what,
exactly not. Totally.
yeah,
People aren't getting
because
counted.
so many people don't fill out the census. I mean, I do mine every year. It's a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
It's so many pages long, but this is where those kinds of numbers pay. But back to those billions of dollars, and I came across Amy Stewart. I mean, her back, when she wrote Flower Confidential,
Mhm.
she's the one that really brought this out right to the public. I mean, we knew it as flower farmers, but that, like, $6.5 billion of flowers a year are bought and sold in this country. That means people from funerals to weddings to I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I screwed up, all those things. Um, and 81% of those flowers are shipped in from distant countries. And according to what I read today, Ecuador and Colombia are the major exporters of flowers into the United States.
Right.
And I just want to say, and then we can just go on talking, that so what is 80% of $6.5 billion? Somebody do that math. Until that number is chiseled down, oh shucks, down to 30%,
Right.
there is opportunity for people to sell flowers. The curve is, we as farmers have to find the way to reach the people that are buying flowers and
Right.
making it convenient for them to buy the flowers.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that I read is that, one of the biggest retailers of flowers is that 1-800 number. I won't
Right.
say the rest of it. And it said it was because online sales is where it's at. I mean, of course, that just got pushed forward because of COVID, but they said it's never going back. People have become used to that, right?
Yeah, but I still think that the local flowers at a farmer's market or buying from local florists are still more sales than 1-800 flowers. I think they like to brag about I didn't mean to say the whole name, but that 800 company, I think they like to say how big the numbers are, but it's not as big of a piece of the pie as
Right,
they like
right.
to say it. Again,
And
because they don't count all the smaller growers that are selling $3,000 a week at the end of their driveway. That's not in those
right.
numbers anywhere.
And you're so right about that. So there are so many numbers that aren't counted. But what I want to say to people is, with 81% of those flowers being sold are being imported, I mean, we have no ceiling.
Right.
There is no ceiling. Our work has to be, and I think we are really getting our heels dug in to actually do this. We have to find ways to meet these customers where they are to make it easier for them to buy. I think I may have told this before, but one time, if it is, and I'm sure anybody watches the Barefoot Contessa on Food Network, her flower guy, Michael and Jim. I met Michael and Jim. We both were speaking at the same conference in Colonial Williamsburg several years ago. And they, in fact, invited Suzanne and I, my sister, who we traveled together, to come to the Hamptons, where they live, and to visit them. And so Suzanne and I were going to Vermont to a gig. So we flew and just said, well, can we stop in to meet you guys? He said, no, you just don't do that. You come in here and you're going to spend 2 nights with us. We'll put you up. Well, I mean, we had a wonderful time. But what I got to experience was how he bought his flowers. And this was years ago. This was because he bought actually from Holland. He doesn't buy flowers like most people do from the wholesaler that are coming from South America, right? He sat in his living room with an online auction and
Oh,
bought the flowers Saturday night for his next week. And he said, all I do is, I know he didn't do flowers like we think about. He did the flowers for people's homes like Martha Stewart
right.
and Ina Gardner and Jimmy Fowler and all those people. I got to go in all their driveways, y'all. He drove us around all over the Hamptons. It was great. I was in Martha's driveway. Anyway, but he was going on back then about how simple and easy and attainable that was.
Right.
And that's where domestic flower farmers have got to focus. And we're doing it. And I think that Amelia Ilo with Rooted Farmers, with her
Program.
platform that is connecting growers all over this country with buyers in their area, is absolutely amazing. This is not a plug for Amelia's business, but I'm here to tell you I did an in-depth meetings with her because we did promote her business on a thing we did together. And you know why I did it? We talked the numbers. Flower farmers that band together with other farmers through her platform sell more flowers.
Right. Yep.
It doesn't seem like it should work that way.
But it makes it easy for the customer, whether it's a retail florist or a retail designer, wedding
Yes.
designer. So they buying from 6, 8, 10 farms at once, but off of one list that has pictures. And it's like shopping it on Amazon. It's so easy. They buy the
Yes.
stuff, it shows up 2 days later on their doorstep ready to use, rather than having to talk to 10 different farmers, which a lot of florists don't have the time or the desire to do that.
It's so very, very true. And so that is just one example or model. And then look at all these others, exchanges and co-ops that are in collectives that are jumping up everywhere. I don't know if you know, Dave, that they just started one in Philadelphia.
Haven't heard
And
about that one yet, but
yeah, Jenny, after Jenny Love and Amelia did a podcast together, and the podcast was about the stress level on farmers, the whole physical thing. And Amelia is a very brilliant person. She was sharing how helpful doing a collective is for farmers, because instead of taking your flowers out and delivering them and trying to sell them to 10 different florists, potentially, let's just say, at a collective, you get to take your flowers to the collective. They sell the flowers, which you're part of, and you pay a fee to do. But it's like allows you to focus on farming and growing and all of those things. And after that podcast is when Jenny Love ganged up with the other local Philly growers, and they are now, I forget, I meant to look up the name up before we came on here, but there are so very many ways, but they're so unlikely. And I think that when folks are new coming in, they look at those kinds of things and think, how is that possible that you would sell more? You have to pay to sell, first off, any of those models, because friends, people have to get paid to do. There's people that have jobs
do the
selling
work and make the deliveries for you, right? So you
Yeah,
got to pay them.
it all jiggies out in the end. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many other ways to sell flowers. And that is just my 2 cents worth.
Yeah.
So
I like to tell about Janice Harris up in Canada, who started putting flowers at the end of her driveway one year. And I suggested she sell them at the end of the driveway to pay for the conference, so she could go to the conference.
yes,
Just with the table at the end of the driveway. And she made so much she could take her husband and 3 kids to the conference and then to Disneyland. I think they went to Disneyland. They went somewhere else for fun. But now they've actually had to build a building at the end of the driveway because they have so many cut flower sales on Saturday morning. It's actually their son works the store at the end of the drive on Saturday morning, and they're selling thousands of dollars worth of flowers every Saturday.
Yeah, she DMs me after Good Saturdays
Yes,
and says,
I've had that too.
"I sold $5,000 worth of flowers this morning." And that's because of her reputation, her
Yes.
quality of flowers, and a lot of things. And you might not be able to do that, but there are other ways. My friend Emily, who I told her when she told me what she was going to do, I said, "I am not a person that thinks that consignment sales are a good idea," because I had a bad experience,
Hmm.
right? Well, let me tell you, she rocked the world doing consignment. She lived out in the middle of nowhere. She lives near Outer Banks and Elizabeth City, that area.
Hmm.
And she found three places that wanted to sell her flowers. And so she just started taking them, and she sold 90% of her bouquets.
Wow.
And all she did was drop them off, and they sold them. So there are so many opportunities. But Dave, let's talk about, there are a lot of people out there selling flowers, but they might be some of the same kind of people that we were just talking about, that Joe was sharing about on that Facebook page, that
Yeah.
just not professional. So in your eyes, what is a professional cut flower grower?
Professional cut flower growers, when it grows, well, sells only the best flowers. You may grow some that don't turn out good, and they should never make it out to your bucket to sell if they're bug eaten, too small, wrong size, whatever is wrong with them. As long as you're selling top quality flowers, consistent. Consistency is the biggest thing. You can't show up at a florist the third week of July with 3 buckets of sunflowers and expect them to buy them when they don't know who you are and never seen you before. But if you're selling them sunflowers from late May, early June, they might buy 2 buckets of sunflowers every week, all season, because they can rely on you and count on you having the sunflowers every week. But if you just show up randomly, that's not going to work. You can't run a business randomly. It's got to be consistent and always have the product for the customer.
So, growing good quality cut flowers, better conditioned, been, taken care of, they're cut at the right stage.
Yes.
I'm saying this because we've all seen the flowers that didn't fall into these
Right.
categories.
Well, like
Um,
those bouquets that Joe put on that Facebook post with the $5 bouquets, a lot of those flowers look a little old to me. Dahlia is
yes.
totally blown wide open, and I'm sure they're brown on the back of the petals.
And, the really sad thing about, what I was sharing last night on, I've done so many lives, I forget which one it was, but I think it's so easy in this end, well, as for flower farming, because people are gardeners and you kind of already think you're doing it, and you think, okay, I'm a gardener, I'm just going to grow more flowers and I'm going to sell them. They think there's this direct bridge, but there is really a big learning curve to get
Yes.
over here. And it would be like, this is the example I used last night. It would be like me waking up tomorrow morning and saying, you know what? I'm going to go lease a space and I'm going to go find some copy machines. And I think I'm going to sell some copy machines today, knowing
Right.
nothing.
Right.
And that's exactly what people do. And the worst part of that is that you potentially, if you finally find your way, potentially may screw up potential good working professional relationships.
Farther
I
down
mean,
the
going
road.
into florist and being not professional, and you know, as I often say, you don't go in there and ask questions. You go in there to answer their questions.
Right. You should know what they're
You're in the
doing.
driver's seat, and um, being a professional is really what it's all about. And I'm a little crazy about that, I think, because I was a business person before I was a flower farmer. And I just really feel like people need to get their P's in a row, and be a pro. And the other thing that does is it really builds your confidence so that when you do go in there to sell, um, and listening to you, Dave, talking about, I remember Ellen telling us about some of Ellen Frost. If you all don't know her, she is the trailblazing florist who owns a design studio in Baltimore, who only uses locally grown product within 100 miles year round. She is like every flower farmer's dream
Yes.
customer.
Great customer.
If everybody had an Ellen, you would be in Fat City. But Ellen tells us, I mean, so she only buys from farmers, right? And I mean, she has helped start farms. She has cultivated farmers. She has done so much to help support our community, because way back when she started, there weren't that many for her to buy from. Um, but some of the stories that she tells us, I mean, just like Dave just suggested, showing up in the middle of summer when everybody has 2 tons of flowers and expect to walk in the back door when they're busy, they got more flowers than they know what to do with, and they're already buying from their loyal
Growers,
suppliers,
right? The good growers,
and you get a bad reply. Well, any of us could have told you that's what was going to happen.
right?
That's not the way to necessarily do it. So there are a lot of ways to go about it in a much better. I mean, I literally stalked my first customer for 5 months before I ever went in there. Stalked them all winter long, and so there are a lot of different ways. So when I was doing my snooping around, it says that on one, and it was just so interesting. You have to figure out what you think, because if it's on the internet, it's true, right?
Always.
So I had to kind of see what was going on. But anyway, it said as a combined industry that horticulture and cut flowers is $100 billion a year.
Yes, easily. All those plants at Home Depot count.
I mean, it is, there's just so much opportunity, friends. And it's so funny, Dave, that I was talking to one of our students night before last, Sherry, and I cannot remember the name of her farm. She's in Idaho or Iowa. I think it was Idaho. And she took your course. And she's in North Carolina. But the name of her farm is Kentucky 1871. And I said, why do you live in North Carolina, but your farm name is this? Well, they have a 5-generation family farm in Kentucky that they own and rent out. And her dream is that in 10 years, they will move back to that farm.
Okay.
So I've already got the ball rolling. I was telling her about Pamela and Frank Arnowski buying that farm in the north and going up there a few times a year and planting all those peonies. So I've already greased the wheel. She is ready to plant some peonies.
Okay.
What a great idea. There's so much opportunity. And I hope that people get encouraged just listening to us kind of ramble on here. But it's just that perhaps you haven't found the way. And for the person that said to me, there are so many other farmers in my area, that is the perfect time to start talking about collectives.
Yes.
A collective is when farmers come together to create an organization to be a locally grown wholesaler, basically. So florists come there to buy all their flowers instead of having to go to all those different farmers. And there's Piedmont, there's River City Exchange, and somebody did put the Philly name on. Oh, the Philadelphia Floral Guild.
Okay.
And what happens is florists buy more when they're all in one place.
Right.
But I guess what I want to say is that we should not be afraid of working together. We are not competition.
Right.
You are, but you're not. Right?
Yeah. If working as a group is always better than trying to go on your own, especially selling cut flowers from a farm, because one farmer can grow everything. So as soon as you band together 2 or 3 other farms, you got a bigger menu, so to speak, of varieties to sell to the florist, and each florist will buy more. I know when I was part of a co-op briefly for 2 years, I guess, with 2 other farmers.
Y'all were doing it before anybody else
before anybody else was. Yes, we were doing it all manually. It was crazy, but Ellen Frost would spend a couple $1,000s with us a week, where before she may have been spending $400 with this farmer, $200 with that. She was buying several $1,000s a week from our co-op. And
it's just more convenient.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't be Amazon, meaning it's not quite that simple, but there are tools being developed out there and groups that are doing it in a way that makes it so much simpler. We have to meet the customer where they are. That's the whole reason that Ellen Frost did a course with us about growing your business with locally sourced flowers. It's for florists to figure out how to work with farmers, because it is so different. I mean, they literally pick up the phone on Monday morning and say, send me $200 worth of peach flowers.
Right.
And that's what they do. And, I can still remember, oh my goodness, I had been delivering to florists for several years, and I happened to be standing in the back of a shop when the lady, the owner, was on the phone with somebody, and I heard her say something about a standing order to the person on the phone. She said, "Yeah, just send me my regular standing order." When she hung up, I said, "So what's, a standing order?" She said, "Well, that just I give them a dollar amount, and I automatically get that every Monday morning, so I don't have to
Yeah.
worry about coming in here and ordering flowers."
Right.
I said, "Well, what do I have to do to get your standing order?" And I'd already been selling to her for like 3 years. She said, "Could you do a standing order?" I said, "How much?" Hers wasn't very big, it was just a couple $100. But I went to work then, and then that's what floated my business. I mean, I
Right.
had thousands of dollars of standing orders every week,
Hmm.
and there's just, and I bet some of the people listening to this didn't even know about that.
Right.
I
Standing
mean,
orders.
that's
It could be either the same thing every week. They want to have, 50 sunflowers and, 100 other stems, or it can be just totally whatever you choose. And they just say, I never like red. And you never give them red and you give them everything
right. Or
else.
marigolds. Do
Yeah.
not put any marigolds in my box.
Right. Everyone's got their favorites, but yeah, it's easy to do, easy to remember, and it's automatically sold every week.
And you're not going to get that until you've proven yourself. And our friend Carl is on here. Carl says, if I'm working 14 hours a day and shipping flowers from Ontario to Miami and everywhere in between, there is room for more flower farmers. Trust me, I need a holiday. Tell
Yes.
everybody who Carl is.
Carl is he calls himself, and everybody else calls him the stick man. He's up in Ontario, Canada, grows sticks, everything from curly willow, pussy willow, lilac.
Lilacs.
He does lilac where he does a tractor trailer load already in 1 week and it's sold because he sells through the auction. Rose hips, hydrangea, all kinds of stuff. He's another one that bought a farm farther north, so you could have stuff ready later in the year. So his reason for that was so that it would lose the leaves earlier in the fall, so he wouldn't have to hand strip the leaves off of islands.
Right.
So he does all kinds of just nothing but sticks, sells through the auction, and sells it by the tractor trailer load.
And I mean, do you think that his dad was a nurseryman,
Right.
right? I
Right.
believe. I mean,
Trees and
not
shrubs.
cut flowers.
No, trees and shrubs, and then I don't know, 15 years ago they started doing some wood sticks to selling
Yeah.
sticks, and then that's kind of taken over.
And it's like kicking their butt. And I mean, the whole family is involved anyway. We're just here to say, friends, we don't have an answer to your specific problem here on this chit chat, but we're here to tell you there are so many options and opportunities. And unbeknownst, I mean, there is just, and I'll tell you, so I've been doing all these student interviews this week, and I'm really encouraged that all the students that told me that they're selling to florists, of how well received they were. We're always so surprised by that. We're so afraid they're going to say, "We don't want your flowers. Why would we want your, old flowers?"
Right.
That their florists are like, "Oh my gosh, do you have more of this?"
Right.
And
I think a lot of that changed with the pandemic when there was all the disruptions in flowers and they couldn't
yes,
get imported flowers. Then the growers in the other countries in South America weren't planting as much, and there was just shortages. And just recently they had the uprising in Ecuador where they weren't exporting flowers for a few weeks,
right,
and they all realized, oh, there are local flowers that I can buy, and
right.
that helps. Now they look for local flowers because they know they're there.
Well, once they, yeah, I mean, during that whole, when the pandemic broke, oh my goodness, people that snubbed us in years past,
Wanted to be
when
friends.
they could still get what they wanted, all of a sudden, we're crawling to your door. But I'm just looking through some of the comments, and if you're on here, if you see all of the sunflower emojis, those are people that are identifying themselves as our students. We love it when that happens. And if anybody is considering my course, Dave's course doesn't go on sale until next June. And if you want to get on his wait list, you can also do that over on our website, thegardenersworkshop.com. But we love it when our students identify themselves, and that way you can reach out and say, "Hey, what'd you think of the class?" So we have lots of students on here. I have a new student, Leslie, just said, "I'm signed up for the class, Lisa. I hope to add Dave's class next year. I am known as," this is great, "Blinded by the Light." That's a great name. Our friend Wanda from Fox Hollow Peonies in
Okay.
Alaska is here. So we have lots of students. And Anne says there's not enough good flower farmers.
Good.
I
That's
agree with
very
that.
important. Important adjective there. Good flower farmers. Yes.
It's, I mean, good professionals. And y'all, it's just, anyway, that's what my course is about getting you in, getting you set up, teaching you how to sell, to grow, how to manage a working cutting garden, get you started on that, harvesting, conditioning, customer service. There's just, I actually, if you're interested, I did an Instagram live, I think 2 days ago. You can find it on my feed, where I literally went through the entire course. I had the syllabus, and it was like the backdoor information. And it was, if you want to hear it, you can download the syllabus over at thegardenersworkshop.com. The course is $595. Let's just talk numbers for a minute. Y'all, that's like 2 subscriptions or 2 Saturdays at a pretty small farmer's market.
It's half a pack of sunflower seeds. You buy sunflower seeds, 1,000
Yeah.
in a pack. Half a pack is going to pay for the class.
And it's just so funny, Dave. I am still just going on and on and on to people about sunflowers. It's like, if you're not planting sunflowers if you have customers and you're not planting sunflowers every week, you're missing major cash flow.
Major money. Yep.
Yep. And I see that Jesse's on here, and she posted some links. If you haven't read the book Flower Confidential by Amy Stewart, it's really a look at the flower industry. It's it really helped the flower farming industry. And anyway, I love that book. It's a great book. And there's Carl. I've took Dave's class and got some of my bulbs planted. Can't wait to take Lisa's class, Zone 7. Love listening to y'all ramble on. That's us, Dave and Lisa. I'm just trying to see if there's any. We have lots of Kansas. We have Idaho. Signed up and cannot wait for class to start. So I will say, just to say a little bit about the class. So the class is $595 or 2 payments of $317. And the class does not start until November 1st. However, one of the tools that's in my course is this new thing we added last year, and it's called the Cool Flowers Field Growers Report. And it's an interactive document that you can go in, and you get immediate access, is what I was trying to get around to saying here. So when you sign up, that'll be in your library. You can go in and you can search there's a video that tells you how to use it. Lane is the maker of all of this. And she tells you exactly how to use it. And you can search your zone and see maybe what other people are saying you might be able to fall plant that's not in the book, Cool Flowers. If you've had experience with a cool flower, we want you to enter it. And the minute you hit submit, it's a little form you fill out. And the minute you hit submit, it populates it on this database, and everybody else can see what you put. But I don't think they can see your name. So don't be afraid of that. But it's like totally, this information is nowhere else. To collect information that you also get to see everybody else's information. So you get instant access to that. Then school doesn't start till November 1st. It goes for 6 weeks. Each week you get a bunch more videos in your online library. And when you buy our courses, you have access for life. As long as there's the internet, you have access. You log on to your library, and there's all your classes. You can watch them as many times as you want. You can use the phone app and listen to them when you're driving down the road. You cannot download them, but if you have a cell signal, you can listen to them. And we have closed Facebook groups during the school and after school. I'm still answering questions from my 2018 class of students. And that's what we've built our courses on, is that our students have access to us. And we're just super stoked to be able to help, because Dave and I feel like I can speak for him. We love mentoring. And the point of a true mentor is for our students to exceed us.
Yes.
Dave and I are no longer selling cut flowers.
Yep.
Not that we held back anything when we were selling cut flowers, but there is no off limits subjects. I mean, I'm not going to talk to you about tulips because that's not my subject, it's his, but I'm not going to not answer any questions. We want people to go for it and to do this if that's what you want to do. And, the thing I say to people is, you're not going to be able to sign up for another year, because I can already tell you, Dave, there are so many people sorry they didn't sign up for your class.
Yeah, I hear people, I missed your class this year. Well, wait till next July. Sign up.
and so you're a year behind on all your perennial plantings, getting them in the ground. And so what I like to think for myself, being that number girl, is I say, all right, what can I do to pay for that? If that means, I mean, if you got a really tight budget and if you don't have $1,000 to start your flower farm with, my way with annuals, low investment, high return, as quick as possible, um, then you need to get a side hustle, or
Right.
you need to sell something, or I mean, do not go in debt. It is not necessary at all. And you're going to avoid mistakes and gain so much information, but put all the information aside. It's the confidence and the support that you get that really, really makes the difference. So we have a lot of new students on here. Hello, everybody. So welcome to school, all you folks. I have been successful this year selling to local florists. Welcome. Welcome to Flower Farming School. So Jesse is on here. I'm just trying to read some of the questions. I'm sorry, I'm just skimming through here. First time started cool flowers in my garden, Zone 5, class of 2021. Hi, Kim. All right, friends. And Wanda, I just love you. You know what she reminds me of on everything I talk to? Don't forget, it's tax deductible.
Yes, I was thinking that. Yes, if you've got a business, you're doing that Schedule F for a business or a C.
Yep.
The class is deductible. Going to a conference is deductible. All of that
Yes.
stuff is. Yep, it's part of making
It
your
is
business
very,
work.
very deductible. So, friends, we're going to wrap this up, but we want to say to you that there is room. We need more professional domestic cut flower growers.
Yes, most definitely.
And, and we're here to help you if you're having a problem in that department. And we just head on over to the gardenersworkshop.com and check out what we have. And if something works for you, I can't wait, to meet you in school. And we have one more day of registration. It closes tomorrow at midnight, October 5th, 2022, if you're watching this later. And we'd love to have you join on board. And all right, Dave, I guess we're done.
All good. Yep.
Oh, I know what I wanted to say. They had a number on here. You know how much money people spend on Valentine's Day on flowers?
Oh, a lot.
1.9 billion.
Yes. And
And
Mother's Day is almost as much.
Yeah, I think Mother's Day is more.
Yes. Well, if you throw in the plants with Mother's Day, it's more. But yeah,
Yeah.
Mother's Day is also a good one.
And yeah, I mean, and we have so many growers that are getting so smart. We have growers that are doing hoop houses and greenhouses and trying to grow during the cool to cold months to be. I mean, there's just so much information, y'all. So much information. All right, Dave, thank you so much for joining me here and helping us get the word out that there really are not too many there are not too many professional cut flower growers.
There's always room for more.
There's always room for more. All right, friends, till we meet again. And thank you, Jesse, for being here. And bye, Dave.
Bye-bye, Lisa. See you next time.